You don't know what's out there.
That's why I would go.
Hi, and welcome back to Wild Dream, where we give you the freshest takes on the latest movies. My name is David.
Oh, yeah. And I'm fucking Daniel.
Stop copying me. Stop copying me.
Stop. My name's Daniel. I'm goofing. I'm having fun.
You're new boot goofing.
We're in our goofing around era. We're in our, this is a special era for us. We just don't give a fucking flip anymore.
Fucking flip.
We don't give a fucking flip anymore.
The S,
dude.
bro. The fucking S has hit the fan.
The fucking S, dude. Yeah, that's my movie recommendation of the day. The Death of Dick Long. Go watch The Death of Dick Long. Don't look anything up about it. Just watch it. That's my
movie. Funny movie.
Recommendation of the day. We're gonna start this. We're gonna swip swap every week. You'll do or every episode. You'll do the next one. You'll do a movie recommendation at the top.
It's gonna be a Spider-Man movie every time.
That's fine.
Speaking of Spider-Man movies, you watch those Spider-Man movies I gave you physical copies of like 8 months ago?
Yeah. Of course, yeah, boss.
I did watch After Sun. I believe that was our deal at that time.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll watch it.
But anyways, we did watch a movie this weekend.
We did
watch a movie today.
Today, just now. And it's a movie that I don't think a lot of other people are seeing, unfortunately.
That is very true.
But we'll tell you the name of it so that we can put it on the map. Because the movie that we just saw is Sacramento. Famously the hometown of one of the greatest bands of all time, the Deftones. I love when people say the Deftones. It makes me
love
laugh. it? I'm just like, all right.
I'm like fake ass fan. Fake ass fan.
Yeah, Deftones, Sacramento based.
Sacramento, 10th best city in California.
Do we think so?
I don't know. I've never been. I've never been to California. I just know what Californians say.
Yeah, I know San Bernardino, Los Angeles, of course. Fresno, Santa Barbara. Oh, San Diego, of course.
San Diego's
where all
Are you
my...
just naming California cities now, or are you trying to think of the worst ones?
No, I'm just naming California cities that I know.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills, that's a neighborhood.
San Francisco.
Right? Hollywood, that's a neighborhood, right? Right?
San Diego is where all of my friends from high school who went to the military ended up living later in life. Is that a thing?
I don't know. Maybe there's a base out there.
Maybe. Yeah, this is a small little indie movie. I kind of just like...
Small little indie movie with a couple of really, really big name actors.
Very famous actors. That's so true.
Famous actors in it.
I pitched it to Dave. I was like, hey, we just saw a movie that was really bad and very studio. The Working Man. Yeah. And so I'm like, what if we do a 180 and we go see something that I want to see just immediately based off the premise and the actors. And he was like, do it. Let's do it. Why not? And so we went to go see Sacramento, and I wanted to see it because it had Michael Cera in a co-starring role, and I pitched it to Dave like this. Yeah, it has Michael Cera and the guy from Sky High.
And I said Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell said that?
I think that joke is both funny in the fact that as if you couldn't remember Kurt Russell's name, but that also if you couldn't, your first reference would be Sky High
for Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Dude, he's from Sky High. He plays the dad. Do you remember? And then he's in that movie with like the little alien, like...
I don't know what you're talking about. But I do know Sky High.
Yeah, Sky High though.
Sky High.
And it's like some kind of creature. And what is that thing called? Fuck. What is that thing called, bro?
It's like, it's this movie about this thing.
This thing, but I
don't remember what the thing is called, though.
I don't remember what the thing's called, but Kurt Russell's in it.
Kurt Russell's in this movie.
And the black dude from Community's in it. You just have the worst
reference points for every actor.
That's a good bit. That's actually a really good bit, dude.
What is Michael Cera's word? Oh, what was the playlist, the Hearts playlist, whatever?
Yeah, it has the guy from Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
And what is the worst reference for Kristen Stewart?
Who played was she in Zathura?
She was in Zathura. Wait, no, is that Ashley Tisdale?
It wasn't Tisdale.
Okay, then it was her. Yeah.
That's a good one then. Okay, so
it has the babysitter from Zathura.
Dude, it has the babysitter from Zathura.
It's got the guy from Youth in Revolt, the guy from Sky High. The guy from Sky High actually is the guy from Sky High. It's not actually Kurt Russell.
David, I forgot about Youth in Revolt until you just said that.
Really?
Yeah, and that is an extremely underrated movie. Yeah, I've been wanting to see. I mean, I was so excited that Michael Cera was in a movie again.
I love Michael Cera, dude.
He's amazing.
And you know what? I've actually listened to his album, unironically.
Oh, he makes music.
He does make music.
I don't know if I knew that.
And I don't know if he's done it recently. I know that the album that I listened to was from a while ago, and I thought that I didn't know what kind of music it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But it's like a mixture of a bunch of different types of music, and it was actually really good. Or at least I really liked it, I should say. I think objectively it's not great music.
Michael Cera is so unbelievably back, and it was great to see him in this movie.
He's in his element. He's in his bag.
Yeah.
This is a very Michael Cera performance, even though the character has a lot of character to it. Like I think Michael Cera is someone who got, like, I guess they were the perception of him when I was growing up was always Michael Cera just plays Michael Cera. Like he just plays the same character in every movie.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay, well, you know, as you get older, like, well, was it his fault? I mean, he was, you know, a teenage actor. He's getting typecast. You take every role you can get kind of thing, you know? So I don't know. But then it's like, well, you put him in the right situation. And it's like, well, I don't want anyone other than Michael Cera playing this. And it got to a point where it was like other people who tried to do the Michael Cera thing. I'm like, why are you trying to be like Michael Cera?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I saw someone else in, you know, doing the same type of character in Scott Pilgrim, I'd be like, bro, why didn't they just get Michael Cera for this? So, you know, does he play the same character and everything to a certain degree because he's always like the awkward, you know, whatever. I think this character actually does have a lot of range, you know, in terms of like what he does in the movie and how he interacts and things like that. But he has, at the same time, he's one of those guys that's like, we expect a certain thing from him. We expect a certain level of awkwardness, a certain level of comedy through like cringe, you know, to a certain degree. And he just does it better than most people.
Yeah, I think this is one of his most like. I think this is one of his most confident characters. His character is not unconfident at all. In fact, he's overconfident.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like it's so odd because he still finds a way to give you that Michael Cera-ness, for lack of a better term, and it doesn't have to be I'm the awkward, shy, unconfident, whatever that he has been a lot of times. I think what's really fascinating to me is watching, even today, as after we watched the movie, I was like, damn, there were so many small little moments, certain lines, certain mannerisms that are just the most sharpened version of what he was already doing on Arrested Development.
Right.
And it blows my mind. I'm like, dude, he has been good since he fucking started. He had no era that was like, he's a little rough here, but he has had it. He's had it since the fucking get-go.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. He's just so good, dude. He's so good. And he has such a singular type of comedy that, like, kind of like you said, no one has been able to replicate it. No one.
Right.
And it's like, he nails it in this, it's in such an evolved way in this movie. And I really loved it. It was so awesome to see him in something again, especially a character like this.
Yeah, and like I'm glad that it is a comedy, you know, and I'm glad that this movie relies so heavily on the characters, right? Like the plot is, you know, pretty minimal. Mm-hmm. The scenery is not. I mean, it's fucking Sacramento. That's like famous for not having that much, you know, scenery as compared to the rest of LA. You know, whatever. I don't know. I mean, again, I've never been to California. I just know what other Californians say, and they all shit on Sacramento.
Right.
But,
right.
You know, because I mean, I would hate, you know, there are going to be people who are from fucking Houston who say Dallas is fucking dog shit. And I'm like, shut your mouth, pig.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, yeah, you're right.
So I don't want to be like that guy.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Because if you're from Sacramento, you're going to be like, yeah, fuck people from San Diego. San Diego sucks, you know, whatever.
Yeah, or whatever, yeah.
But, yeah, so I think they don't make any of those jokes in this movie either. They don't act like that at all. Even though the main character lives in LA, you know, they don't like make it seem like Sacramento sucks and is awful or anything like that. But my point is that this movie is a very, very character driven movie. Mm-hmm. These characters are what make this movie interesting. The parts that keep me engaged and interested in wanting to see what happens next is these characters and how they interact with each other and how they interact with others. And, you know, the situation that they're in is doesn't change very much. So it's just, I'm really glad that Michael Cera gets to be in a movie like that, because he is someone you want to see perform, you know. I wouldn't want to see Michael Cera in a Marvel movie. You know what I'm saying?
Speak for yourself, bro.
You want to see Scott Pilgrim in the MCU?
I want to see, if you want my ass in a seat for a Marvel movie, get Michael Cera in that bitch.
I got bad.
And make it, and here's my, not Scott Pilgrim. I want him to be the villain. I want him to be the main villain. Thanos level villain, and it's Michael Cera. That's all I'm saying.
But you see, that's why it's a punchline, because you know that that's not his thing. But anyways, my point is that I really loved him in this movie. Okay.
Me too. He also gave us a line that we're gonna steal for.
We're stealing for the rest of our life. And you know what Mo is too. Mo is too. When Mo hears this line, and I'm sure he's listening to this like 6 months from now.
Honestly.
But
wait, you guys have a podcast? You've been on it,
dude. When he hears this line, he's gonna steal this shit.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
But and I want to believe it was improvised so bad. I want to believe this is a Michael Cera original, because it's so him, bro. It is so him. He's not even the main character of this movie, by the way.
Yeah, he's not.
Kristen Stewart. Okay, I want to talk about her for a little bit. Kristen Stewart, I don't think is a bad actress. I think she gets a bad rap a lot of the time for, again, being the same person in every movie. They say Kristen Stewart is just Kristen Stewart in every movie.
Yeah.
And again,
she grabs her hair in size.
Yeah. You know, she was also a teenage actress and was probably typecast to play the moody teenager and everything, because she has black hair. She's the only teenage actress who's ever had black hair. And
famously the babysitter in Zathura.
Moody teenager. Here's why I don't like her in this movie. I don't want to see her play a straight woman ever again. When she came out and then played a lesbian in a movie, I was like, this makes more sense than anything I've ever seen. And now we're seeing her again as a straight woman who I'm supposed to believe was impregnated by a man. And I'm just
Michael Cera.
And I'm like, Not that she did a bad job. I just don't like it.
Right. It's just, I get it.
Kristen Stewart.
I get it.
You know, she's fine in this movie. She's not fantastic. She's not awful.
Yeah, and she's not supposed to do a whole lot.
I think that the whole point of her character is she is the normal one in the cast.
Yeah.
You know, she's very grounded, but you know, I loved her and Michael Cera's relationship, because it was just one of these things where like I am a married person, right? So I view things differently than people who aren't married do. And I think about this thing all the time. So like there was a once upon a time, and I'm sure you never heard about this in Hollywood. And why would you? Michael Bublé, already haven't heard of this?
Oh, oui, Michael Bublé.
So probably not. He was doing like a live with his wife. And at a certain point, she like did something that like she wasn't supposed to do or whatever. And like when they ended before they ended the live, they stopped like the acting. And he was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you. Right? Like that's what he said. Everybody was like, she needs to get out. She's in an abuse. He's abusing her, and he's going to hurt her, and he's hurting her, and she's being controlled and manipulated, and he's just the fucking devil, and they need to be. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Oh my. Like as a married person, I'm like, me and Taylor have threatened each other's lives on a daily basis.
I think if you guys want to know, just go watch some of our streams. Yeah. It's like
my wife has actually killed me on stream several times, by the way.
Yeah, the amount of Taylor going, fuck you. And then you going, shut up, bitch. Y'all have a very close relationship.
But yeah, and like my point of that is this. I think that there are people who are not married, not in committed relationships, who haven't been in a committed relationship in a long time, who have this very, very I'm like very liberal, libtard, left dummies.
Quite embarrassing, really.
But they have a very liberal, or I guess overly progressive idea of what a relationship is. to the degree of which they think any problem in a relationship is toxicity and needs to be not involved in a relationship. And I'm like, well, if you're not in a relationship and if you're not married, then you don't understand that there's a fucking shit ton of toxicity with every relationship that exists. There's toxicity between mine and Daniel's relationship. Like, you know, there are times where, you know, I gaslight Dan. I do it every Sunday. Come Wild Dream Stream. Come and join us. Like, there are these things that every relationship has that on the outside you would be like, oh, that's abusive and toxicity, and these people aren't right for each other, and they should just break up. Yeah, you know. And if you're in a relationship, you go, yeah, these are very normal things. And I think that this is a relationship that I look at that I go, oh yeah, this relationship needs work. All relationships need work, but these people are doing the work to a certain degree.
Unlike the liberals,
you know, and I
don't want to work.
I tell you what, their relationship was like one of the more realistic relationships, despite the fact that I don't see them together, partially because Kristen Stewart.
Because we know them,
yeah,
like their real life selves to a certain degree.
Yeah, because they're very famous people.
Very famous, yeah. Yeah, I really appreciated the simplicity of this movie and how feel good it was in terms of the tone and the attitude of the movie, but also, like you said, the whimsical nature of this. Because another thing that I enjoyed about the movie was also the relationship of the main two characters and that friendship, and this, like, they're clearly estranged, but in these very small, quiet moments, you see how close they used to be, and how much. You don't have to say or do any exposition dumps to understand their history.
Right.
And you know, the biggest thing that I really took away from this movie, are we even doing a spoiler alert?
Here in like 5 seconds. We are.
The biggest thing I took away from this movie is it was so interesting to me to see characters around my age and in a very different spot in life than I am, for the most part, and I didn't relate to those specifics of the story. I don't know what it's like to have a partner. I don't know what it's like to have a kid or anything like that. I know nothing. But it was what I really, really connected to in this movie was this idea of how much is going on in our daily lives, me and the people that I love and that are close to me. How much is going on every single day that we don't address or that we are not conscious of? If it were brought to the surface, if it were actually extracted from us, how much is wrong or going on, or what we haven't healed from, or what we haven't dealt with our personalities or our trauma or whatever, how would we react? What would happen? Because, like, I really connected to it, and I was just like, holy shit, what an interesting concept. To you on the surface, like outside looking in, you have such a normal life. And you are a very normal person. But by the end of this movie, and when we talk about the plot and spoiler and what happens towards the end, it is fucking insane.
Right.
What happens? And I'm not building that up like it's some kind of fucking plot twist. It's just fucking insane, the situation that happens.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck is this? And how did we get here? And it's like, well, this person, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the concept. Like, for real, if we took all the filters away and we actually thought about how much we are dealing with every single day that we don't address and we just bury in our subconscious, like, what would happen if that were reversed and if we had to face it, like, head on? I just loved it. I thought it was such an interesting concept that I, like, really, really connected to. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. This is a feel-good movie. And even though it does delve into issues with mental health and issues with getting older, and there's a lot of that plays into this movie. But I just, last thing before spoiler alert is I just want to say that we need more movies like this.
Yes, that's why I really want everyone to go watch this movie. Seriously.
We need more movies that are just character-driven movies that are sometimes just a reflection of reality. And like, to say like, oh, well, I want a movie to escape from reality. It's like, well, this movie still allows me to do that and still feel good about, what I feel like I can accomplish now, So and also I just want movies that are an hour and 30 minutes that are funny and are just about people preferably maybe some people of color. This movie's pretty fucking white.
It is it's
a white ass movie.
It's a very
It's not a lot of representation in this one, but
yeah, I think it's probably time to go ahead and get into spoiler talk so that we can be a little more specific about some scenes.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert. Dude, you're supposed to say it with me.
I wasn't ready.
Okay, it's in 3. Okay, it's in 3. 3, 2, no,
you said
in 3 on 0.
Are we going on go or are we going on
We're going
2?
on 0.
Are we going on go or we're going on
We're
2?
going on 0. 1, 2, 3. Dude.
You said 0.
Oh my freaking gosh. Get it through your skull.
Is it 3, 1, 2 go and we go on 3?
3, 1, 2. Spoiler alert.
Okay, that's all you had to say.
All right, now let's do it.
All right. Sacramento is about an energetic and free-spirited young man who convinces his longtime friend, who has settled into domestic life, to go on an impromptu road trip from Los Angeles to Sacramento.
Yeah.
We said in the spoiler-free talk, it's a very simple movie.
It is a very simple movie. I would give you guys the rundown. The rundown. So this movie starts off, there's a very quick intro to this movie. I thought it was really quirky. And I think you could go both ways of if this is cringe or like cute.
I'm in the cute camp. Loved it.
Cute camp. Okay. It's our main character, Ricky. And he is sitting on like a lakeside and someone is yelling at him from the other side of the lake who's a hiker. And they like introduce themselves to each other. And then he's like, let's meet in the middle. And then she's like, oh, well, you mean like in the middle of the lake? He's like, yeah. She's like, okay. And then he starts swimming in the lake. And then she's like, no, I changed my mind. And then cut to, and it's, shot of them on a dock and they're trying to do this game. I actually loved this scene, which is them doing a game where they're saying, what's your favorite thing? Or like, what's your favorite number? Who's your favorite friend's character? Whatever. 3, 2, 1, go. And then they do it. And then they get it wrong every single time. Yeah. And then until eventually he's like, we don't have anything in common. And then they start kissing and you're like, oh. And then there's a shot of them hanging out by the lake and, they have this like little line about him saying, we should just start up a camp here, just live here for the rest of our lives. And she's like, nah, you would run. And he's like, you really think so? She's like, yeah. And I couldn't really tell like what the timeline is for this. I'm assuming maybe they spent like a couple of days together. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what the time frame of this is, but it doesn't really matter. You know what else doesn't matter? How long it is until they see each other again. But we do get a title card telling us that exactly 1 year to the day later, our main character, Ricky, is living in a home for adults who are dealing with mental health issues. He's told, hey, you got to get out of here. It's, you've had enough therapy. Go on, get.
You graduated.
And then we get introduced to Michael Cera and his wife, Kristen Stewart.
How funny it would be if they actually just went by their names.
Fuck, that would be way easier for me. And why am I saying Ricky? Because I don't want to say the guy from Sky High.
I know, right?
Anyways,
I think his name's Glenn.
Glenn and Kristen Stewart.
And her name is like Rosie?
Rosie. Dude, like you're nailing this, bro.
I'm getting better. It only took me 3 years of doing this podcast
to remember 3 characters' names. There's only 3 fucking characters. You finally did.
Will I call them that for the rest of this episode?
Hell no.
Absolutely
Hell
not.
No.
But I remember.
Okay. Glenn,
if
you will. Glenn and Rosie are married. Rosie is like 8 months pregnant. Extremely pregnant.
Only in her belly, like movies usually are.
It's very clear that Glenn has very serious mental health issues, primarily anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Panic attacks, clearly, and impulse control. And it's also very clear that their relationship is mostly like, it is a loving relationship. Like, I want that to be clear. It is a loving relationship, and they both do a lot for each other. But it also seems like she does more for him than he does for her. And this is kind of an issue with them throughout the movie because she's trying to say, like, I need you to be supportive all the time. and not be a problem because I'm 8 months pregnant. Like you can clearly in the past, it's like, okay, well, sometimes I have to take care of you as an adult man. And that's was our relationship. But right now it cannot be our relationship. And moving forward, it cannot be our relationship because I'm 8 months pregnant. And when this baby comes, I'm going to need help all the time. And I can't take care of both of you. Like, so like, that's where they're at in this movie. And it's been very hard for, both of them. But they're talking through it and they're being honest with each other and open and they're like having good communication and like telling each other what each other's flaws are and not being like mad at each other about it. It's like, that's part of a relationship. That's okay.
I disagree. I think it was toxic and she needs to get the fuck out of there immediately.
He's a man child and she's being manipulated and abused.
She's pregnant.
And controlled.
She should be being taken care of. But no, she has to put a towel on Michael Cera's head because he's like, I don't like the crib. Man, grow the fuck up.
So Ricky is showing up to Glenn's home because Ricky is his best friend. And then it's made clear to us that Glenn is like, I don't really want to be friends with Ricky anymore because Ricky is, I'm laughing because I just remembered a line in this movie that I love. Ricky is, a crazy person. He's got a lot of mental health issues. He's very flaky and he's like not very stable, normal person. So Michael Cera's like, I want to be a stable, normal person. I want to be a good dad. I want to raise this family. So I don't want him in my life anymore. I don't know why he's here. But then that's like exactly what you said in the spoiler free. As soon as they get together, you start to go, okay, I know why these people were best friends in the first place.
Yeah.
They start driving around town and they're driving on the highway and they see a sign for Sacramento. And he's like, dude, what if we just go to Sacramento? And then he's like, they do this whole bit about it where Michael Cera is just too sarcastic for too long. And not Michael Cera, Glenn. Fuck! Glenn is too sarcastic for too long.
He thinks it's like a game of chicken.
Yeah. And then the other guy, Ricky, is like pretending he doesn't know that it's sarcasm and just keeps driving to Sacramento. Then Ricky lies to him because he's like, actually, dude, I don't want to go to Sacramento. Take me back to LA. He's like, well, my dad just died like a month ago and he wanted me to spread his ashes in Sacramento. So he's like, fine. Well, you were there for me when my dad died. So I guess we can, go to Sacramento. They go to Sacramento. Oh, by the way, while all this is going on, one of the things that's happening with Glenn's life is the company that he works for is doing mass layoffs. Triggered. Arby's. Yeah. So this, movie just becomes exactly what you think it's going to be. It is this, buddy movie, right? This buddy road trip, extravagant movie.
With heart, because both characters are learning and growing and all these things. And Michael Cera does eventually get the news that he is being laid off. That causes like a lot of, stress and anxiety for him, even though they tell us early in the movie that Kristen Stewart's character can financially take care of them. Mm-hmm. Like she can support the family and he'll just be a stay-at-home dad. And she's like, until you find something, if you want to find something. So whatever the fuck she does, she makes buku bucks, which by the way, that's the fucking dream, dude. I'm telling you right now, dude, if we got pregnant and Taylor could make enough money to support both, I would be a stay-at-home dad so fucking fast, guys. And you would see me on stream with a baby on the carrier every day. We would do this podcast twice a week. You'd get the best fucking stream you ever seen in your life, too.
I know, dude.
You have all your time to dedicate to it.
I'm telling you this right now. You guys seen baseball dads? I'm going to be an e-sport dad. And I'm going to be yelling at my kids to be getting back on fucking Valorant or whatever game that pays the most. The buddy thing, goes on for a while. Obviously, like one of them is like they're both annoyed with each other all the time.
Yeah, it reminds me of someone else. Reminds me of someone I know. And I'm not going to say who, but I'll look at him right fucking now. David.
I checked behind me for anyone who's listening to this. You're not, because this is getting cut. Actually, that's a good bit. I might keep it. Anyways,
anyway, that's also the catchphrase.
Once it is revealed that Ricky is lying about why he's asking him to go to Sacramento, he's like, okay, I need to know why we're actually here. Well, then he finally reveals that the beginning of the movie, where he met this woman and he had this relationship with her, and her name is Tally, by the way, that she left him a voicemail like a year ago saying, hey, I'm pregnant and I'm keeping the baby and I don't need you in my life and I don't need any help from you, but I just wanted you to know. And if you want to call me back, whatever. He never called her back or anything. And he's like, she actually lives here in Sacramento. So he goes to see her. She's like, listen, I don't need anything from you. I don't want anything from you. So just so you know that. And he's like, okay, but I want to help. I want to be here. And she's like, okay, well, you can if you want to, but I ain't need no man.
Yeah.
And while she's doing this, Glenn is freaking the fuck out about the fact that he does not think either of these two people are fit to raise a baby. He's like looking around the house and seeing all these things that are dangerous in the house. He's remembering that his friend is, mentally unwell and just spent a year in a, adult living facility. And so he has a mental breakdown of his own, kidnaps the baby. They eventually catch up to him, convince him that he's being psychotic and he needs to, let it all go. But it's also just the culmination of all these anxieties from him, coming to the surface. And, they have this, moment where they come together and, they talk everything through. And then we get another 1 year later. Exactly 1 year to the day, 1 year later.
Fucking day, bro.
And now Ricky is leading his own group therapy sessions. And it's they do a little comedy bit here too. I like, there's a men's emotional support group, all genders welcome. So they are living their best life. Like that's what it shows. Like he's in school, he is doing this support group for men, and Glenn is coming to these and still visiting with him. Glenn is a stay-at-home dad now, and the baby's doing well. And then we see that Ricky and Tally have a second child on the way, and their baby is doing well as well. So very happy ending for everybody. And, and I think that you're right. It just becomes one of these things where it's like, okay, if you looked at everyone's worst qualities, no one in the world would ever be fit to raise children. Nobody would be expected to be loved or to be, together. But that's why this movie feels so good, and why it is one of these things where it's like, okay, I love the fact that these two people who are dealing with really serious issues are able to still overcome those things to do what they love in life and spread their love in really positive ways. So for those reasons, I'm out. No, for those reasons, I loved this movie. I will say the comparison to Due Date, little close there, a little close for comfort. If you do not know the plot of Due Date, the plot of that movie is an eccentric man and a more serious man who has a wife who is pregnant with a baby on the way, are taken on this crazy road trip while one of them is trying to spread the ashes of his father in a specific location. That's
right. Okay. And that's the one with it has the guy from Doolittle. And then I know that it also has the guy from Youth and Revolt who plays his stepdad, right?
It does have the guy from G-Force. Has a guy from... Anyways, I mean, I don't know. I've thought about it. I was like, and they're not exactly the same movie. The Due Dates, they're complete strangers. They get kicked off of a plane. One of them actually is trying to spread the ashes of his father. But it is a buddy, comedy movie with one guy spreading ashes and one guy whose wife is pregnant.
With heart. Yeah, I think...
one of the best crying scenes of all time, actually, Zach Galifianakis. Swear to God.
He's a great crier. Yes, I wanted to mention a couple of things. First and foremost, I don't want to keep teasing anyone. We got to say the line that we're going to steal.
We've been teasing you about it.
We've been teasing you guys. So there's a scene where Michael, Sarah, and the guy from Sky High are walking into, they're like, hey, we got to pull over to get some snacks. And Michael, Sarah walks into the gas station and goes, Papa needs his provisions. Papa needs his provisions. I will be saying that for the rest of my life. I just want to make that very clear.
I will never get snacks or any small foods for any time ever without saying Papa needs his provisions, which It's so similar to another line that I actually do say all the time, which is from Eric Andre, from when he's doing the bit asking people for gas so he can drink it, which is daddy needs his juice. And I say that all the time. And now I have another one for food. This is going to get dangerous.
Yeah, this is dangerous.
Papa needs his provisions.
Yeah, and then I want to mention too the whole psychotic break of Michael Cera's character of being so overwhelmed by the anxiety of this idea that these people are not fit to raise this kid. And kind of a God complex on his part to think that he is the most qualified.
Yeah.
But he's freaking out. It's the same anxiety that we have seen him have throughout the movie, and it is unleashed, and he steals the baby and just steals Tally's car and is trying to go back to Los Angeles with the baby. And it's like, it's such an insane thing to happen, right? Especially for this very grounded character who's like, oh, I have 4 Budweisers and I have a hangover.
Right.
And
you also got to keep in mind that Tally just saw Ricky for the first time in over a year, hasn't heard from him, has never met this guy.
He's a stranger to her. And so it's really insane. And that's what made me, even though it's insane and it's almost kind of funny at points, just the absurdity of it.
The absurdity of him not knowing what to do when he has to pay for gas with cash, but there's a baby in the car.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I can't leave the baby in the car. He's like trying to throw money at the guy.
But it's so like, it made me kind of emotional because I was like, that's kind of what really had this theme start to connect with me of like, is Ricky's stealing a baby and taking off with it, going, hey, let's go to Sacramento. And it's like both of these characters have these breaking points that lead them to do something insane, and it is these just impulsive decisions that are kind of crazy and very crazy, I should say, actually. But it just made me reflect a little bit and go, what would mine be? If I don't deal with anxiety to this level at all, but I deal with,
I think it's talking about canceling this podcast every week.
No,
it's looking at a list of movies and going, I'm never doing this podcast again.
I don't know. I'm so curious about it. I'm just like, and so it's like, we all have this. We all have anxiety that we're dealing with all day, every day that we don't always address. We all have, like Ricky's case, he has an entire life waiting for him. And he's just putting it off to the wayside for a fucking year. It's like, and then when it gets addressed, it's just this crazy thing that happens. But is it that crazy if you bottle it up that long? And you know what I mean? It's just so interesting to me. I thought it was very nuanced in the way that they did it, and it wasn't just good for comedy and absurdism and just a funny, cool plot point in the scene, but it was actually really introspective to me, and I loved it. And again, it's just, they're very close to my age. And it's like, I feel that there's just stuff that we bury every day. And if we were to just let it all go at once in a fucking awful, impulsive, stupid way, what does that break look like, So, yeah, I thought it was really interesting that this character does that. But yeah, I loved it. But a couple of things I want to bring up that I was thinking.
Okay.
One, this one's really simple. It's really interesting to me that Ricky plays therapist. It's interesting, the ghost, that Ricky likes to play therapist, and he does that scene. There's a scene where Ricky's like, hey, he's lying, but he's saying, hey, the reason I actually came to Sacramento is because you need help, bro. I did this for you.
Right.
And Sarah, says his last name too. Yeah. Glenn is telling him, is not buying his bullshit. He's just going, fuck off. No, it's not because of me. It's actually because of you. And they keep touching each other's legs.
This is one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
But it's like, that scene is what this movie's about. That one scene is the encapsulation of this movie. It is them both being accusatory of each other's issues and each other's problems. And it turns out they both fucking needed help.
Yeah.
And that they are both here for both of their help.
And he goes, so you're projecting. And what projecting is, he goes, I know what projecting is. He said, I let you speak. I let you speak. What projecting is when you're talking about someone else when you're really talking about yourself and you need help.
Yeah.
And it was such a good scene because it's
okay, you're projecting.
It's the two, it's both of them. And he's like, well, gaslighting. And what gaslighting is, he goes, I know what gaslighting is, and it's what you're doing to me right now. And he's like, buddy, you need help. And they just both have their hands on each other's knees, both telling each other, you need help, man.
Yeah.
What's going on with you? Just open up to me. And they're both going, I'm open.
I'm letting you in.
I'm letting you in. You are here.
Now that you're here and now that you're safe, open up and tell me what's going on.
And tell me what's going on. They keep doing that to each other.
It's this.
It was
snake
so
eating its own
fucking
tail,
funny, dude.
But it's a beautiful scene because it's like it's what the movie is. It's what the movie's about. It is.
Yeah.
And,
and one of the things that I loved about that scene, dude, was I was like, man, like a lot of this movie made me really grateful for the friends I have in my life, like dead ass, because like I was like, man, I thought about this joke in my head, like when Michael Cera like tells his wife he's like, I'm trying to phase him out of my life. And she goes, why would you do that? He's your best friend. I would thought, I wish Timothy fucking would try and phase me out. I was like, good luck, buddy. I was just like, but I was like, you know what though? Like, that's what's so crazy, like about this relationship is, it seems like they've been friends for a really long time. We don't know exactly how long, they don't do that because it'd be weird for two people to sit there and have a conversation about how long they've known each other.
Exposition.
Yes. Exposition would be really bad. They don't do that. They don't do that in this movie. I just know they're best friends and they've been best friends for a long time. Just how they act with each other.
Yeah.
Just how they act. And like even to the point to where it's like, he like tries to just have a normal conversation, like distance himself from Ricky, what Glenn does. And then he's like, he like teases him. He's like, how many push-ups do you think you could do in a row? He's like, I don't know, 30. He's like, I could do 50. And then hard cut to them doing push-ups in the front yard. It's like, you can't stop being friends with this guy if you wanted to. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're too connected.
I loved that moment just as a dude, like that's such a great like visual way to show a male friendship like that.
Yeah. And a lot of,
especially in that context, because 2 seconds ago he was like, I don't fucking like this guy. I don't want anything to do with him. And seconds later you're in a push-up contest with him.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And I have friends in my life too, where it's like, I don't talk to them as much. I don't see them as much, but every time we get together, every time we talk, every time, we're doing something together, it's like no time has passed,
Yeah.
And you love those relationships. And that's similar to what these two guys have. It's just, they're in a very specific place in their life at this moment. Mm-hmm. But that scene of them like gaslighting each other I was like, man, I had never had this with my friend. I've never had to tell my friends, hey, open up to me and let me know what's going on with you. They do. And I'm so grateful for that. And I do the same thing too. I literally got on Discord yesterday, like when we were getting ready to stream. And the first thing I said to Timothy is, hey man, I'm supposed to tell a therapist this, and I just, and he was like, I don't care. I mean, he said, wait, save your money. That's literally what he told me. He said, save your money.
Which is also good advice. So double good friend.
Yeah. Double good friend. I'm like, I don't have that issue at all. Mm-hmm. It was just like, and at the same time, it's like, I see what you're saying too, where it's like, if we extract our worst moments, our worst, experiences with mental health, this is what that movie is a reflection of. And that's a perfect example there. Two men who absolutely refuse to open up to each other.
Or be honest.
And even we're like screaming at the screen. We're like, hey, like you guys clearly love each other. Just open up to each other, please.
Yeah.
Like we want that, And it's like, they don't even have to really have that moment. They don't have to have that moment where Michael Cera goes, I just lost my job and this is how I'm feeling. It's like, we know that.
Yeah.
We already know. Like they do that so well in this movie. It's one of the things I loved about this movie, because when you talk about pacing and timing and exposition, it's like so much of this movie is like these characters act a certain way and I know what's going on with them based on how they act. There's a scene of Michael Cera. There's these multiple scenes, these 3 scenes where Michael Cera keeps leaving voicemails for his college roommate, right? Where he's like, hey man, I'm just trying to catch up. And he's like kind of telling him what's going on because he feels like he can open up a little bit over the phone. And part of the reason why he's calling him specifically is because Ricky calls him out for not having any friends. He's like, you don't have any friends. You don't have anybody in your life. He's like, I have lots. And this is one of my favorite lines of the movie. I mentioned this earlier. He goes, I have a lot of friends. Why does everyone keep saying I don't have any friends? I was like, okay, well, when everyone's saying it, and he's like, the only person he brings up is that guy. He's like, your college roommate. And, but there's a scene later where he finally calls him back And it's really, really awkward. And it's really incredible acting because it is a scene where Michael Cera is doing the thing he's been doing to Ricky the whole time to someone who was not in the middle of a mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. It's someone, so he's like trying to gaslight him. And he's like, nah, man, something's not fucking right with you, man. You know, whatever. He's like, why are you calling me when you're upset, dude? Don't call me if you're upset. Like, if you're having a fucking bad day, you call me, you sound crazy, you know, whatever. And it's like, we don't have to have a scene of him telling Ricky, hey, this is what I did. We don't have to have a scene of him, you know, calling his wife and telling her that he's having a mental breakdown or he's having a panic attack. You know, like, that's one of the things I loved about this movie. I was like, oh, I know what they're feeling, based on how they're acting, without having to be told. Yeah, hey, here's all my feelings.
Yeah, it's a very like subdued internal catharsis in a way. It's not this big grandiose thing that's gonna have the big music swell. Oh, speaking of the music, the jazz music was great in this. I loved the. It's not full on Birdman because it's not that intricate. But it's like a lot of hi-hat play and shit. It's like, and it like helps with the pacing of the movie. I loved it. Yeah, it's you don't need these. Every time I talk, you're just smiling.
Sorry. I have ADHD and it's 11 p.m. You said jazz and then 1,000 things went through my head and none of them had to do with jazz.
It's funny because I assumed that. I just assumed that. I was like, yeah, I can tell you this thing about jizz because I said the word jazz.
Yep.
And the whole time I'm talking, he's just going to be like,
jizz. I also loved the jazz in this movie. I think it's how Kristen Stewart got pregnant.
Yeah, so it's a different type of catharsis and coming to that feeling and that resolution. I think it's interesting how much Glenn calls out and kind of chastises Ricky for lying, even though he's doing it himself by talking about, oh yeah, my job's fine and blah, blah.
Lying by omission too.
Yeah, he does the same shit. So I thought that was interesting. I think I'm very curious about this. Tally has one of the ugliest homes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. God awful couch, awful dishware.
Homestead ever. It is very big, the house.
Okay.
And she works at an ice cream store?
Okay.
How does she afford that in California? How does anyone... They make it clear that, like, Kristen Stewart is apparently a big baller.
Right.
So I guess that can cover... But I was just like, wait, we saw her. She was scooping ice cream for a living, and she has a massive home in California. And a baby.
And she said, I don't need
any help. Exactly. And I'm like...
And the only time that she breaks down and we start to realize, oh, she actually does need help, it's about her being tired and needing help with the baby, not like financially.
Yeah. I was like, what? How? Even like Ricky, I was like, where does he make income from? Like, where does he get money? I don't know. It was just one of those like logistical things where I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, where are they getting all this money?
You know, I did think about that. I was like, well... For Ricky, I just assumed he had money from his father. Because the way father just died, he probably just got some form of inheritance.
That could be the case.
And if his dad was from Chicago and lived in California, he probably did something that made a decent amount of money. As far as her, I don't know. I have no idea how much homes. I know how much homes cost where I live, and oh my God, never ever. Like, it's part of the reason we haven't had kids yet, because I'm like, oh, we'd have to have a place with more than one room, which where we live currently is not possible on any salary, it seems like. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, just a logistical thing. I was like, I mean, you know, the place she works at is called Gunther's Ice Cream or whatever, and I'm like, okay, so it's not Tally's Ice Cream, because that would make more sense. I get it.
If
you
she
own the business,
ice cream shop,
but she is a scooper of ice cream.
Right.
That is like, you know, and I'm not trying to shame anyone if that is your job, but that is typically a job.
We work at Arby's, bro. We can't shame anyone. True.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not looking down on
Arby's corporate though.
I'm not looking down on the job. I am questioning the means in which, like, how did she get a house like this? You know, because that's just,
But also, you know, we don't know. Like, that's the thing is, part of me was like, well, does she have a lot of support, like, in her life, like from, you know, family members or anything like that? But then I'm like, well, then why is she also so exhausted if she has people in her life? Like, that's one of the things I think of, like, when I think about having children. Like, obviously, I don't think I could do that because of the financial state that the country is in. Quite frankly, okay, sorry. I'm not the guy who goes in the Trump voices. Sorry, Dan.
Try it one time.
Quite frankly, the financial state that Joe Biden
Isn't it fun?
Joe Biden put us in. Not as bad as Obama. Obama scoops ice cream.
Obama got rid of the green M&M. It was very sexy, and they got rid of it. I liked this movie. I thought it was really good. And I agree with your take, especially. I think you had the best review, so to speak, of it. We need more movies like this.
Yes. Oh, and here's something that we didn't really mention. When they're hanging out in Sacramento, they actually meet these two women at a bar, and these two women are they train fighters, is what they do, and they end up going home with them. Although Ricky, obviously, Glenn is very, very faithful, and he just passes out on the floor. And then Glenn goes into the room with one of them, and he decides not to have sex with
Ricky
her after.
goes in.
What did I say?
Glenn.
No, I didn't. Fuck you. Play it back. Chat. Ricky goes into, you know, the room with one of them, and he decides, you know, to not to have sex with her after finding out that she's a single mother. And then you start to realize later in the movie, you go, oh, okay, now I understand this more. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, oh, why he's actually in Sacramento and why he wouldn't shut up about her being a single mom when she's like clearly trying to sleep with him. But I
know, because at first I was like, bro.
But then the next scene, she's like telling him like, hey, just be honest. Like everything's going to be okay. And so it's like, oh, okay, so they spent the night like talking, and he probably opened up to her about why he's in Sacramento.
Yeah,
like I didn't realize that until like later in the movie, obviously. So, but one of my favorite scenes of Glenn was because there are a lot of things that Glenn and Kristen Stewart do that remind me of me and Taylor, and at times it's, you know, Taylor is Glenn. Like when the two girls come home, it's in the morning. Glenn has a note that says, "Hey, we went out to, you know, the store." Farmer's Market. We'll be back in a little bit. And when they get back, Glenn has cleaned their entire house. And I'm like, okay, that's so Taylor coded. But then at the same time, he calls her and he's like, well, there were two women last night, and some morally ambiguous things romantically may have occurred, and I have to be honest. And she starts like laughing at him, and he goes, I'm sorry, you think I'm not capable of infidelity? And she's like, no, I don't. And I just started laughing because I was like, that's so me and Taylor too. I'm like, oh my God, that's like, it was just so funny to me. And of course she's like, you sound hungover. And he goes, well, I had three Budweisers and 2 shots of tequila. How would you feel? And I was
I'm just a man.
I'm just a man. I'm like, okay. Like this, It was just so like, I loved those moments where they just reminded me of a married couple. Mm-hmm. You know, and you think I'm not capable of infidelity is so funny to me. But anyways, I loved that scene. That scene was also a good representation of these two characters, like getting to know these two characters. Ricky is the kind of guy who wakes up, you know, earlier than he should after drinking a lot, and you know, goes out with them. And then Glenn is the kind who stays home, immediately calls his wife, and then cleans the house. You know, so it's a very, all the moments in the movie that like show these two characters like who they are were done so well. Like that's why I say it's a character driven movie, you know, because like the story is not that interesting. It's just about two guys hanging out, mm-hmm. But these characters are very interesting. And I think that that's harder to do sometimes. It's very hard to do because it's hard to write without just exposition dumping, but it's also very hard to perform. So you have to have really good acting to do it. And I think they nailed both of those in this movie.
I think so too. I can't even imagine different casting. So great job on their part. And I didn't find out until the credits rolled that the main actor is the one who directed this. Yeah. And I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm going to keep referring to him as the guy from Sky High.
Right. It is pronounced Kurt Russell.
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 The guy from Sky High.
It's pronounced the Dean.
The Dean from Sky High.
The Dean from Sky High.
So, what are your favorite parts? What are your least favorite parts?
My favorite part is Papa needs his provisions, obviously. But no, other than Papa needs his provisions, I do think that just in general, Glenn and Rosie's relationship was my favorite part. Mm-hmm. My least favorite part. You
can cheat and say the title cards.
I mean, yeah, I hate title cards every single time. So yeah, title cards. I actually hate jazz music. So I was like, if it ain't Whiplash, get the fuck out of here with the jazz music.
Whiplash.
Or La La Land. I can do La La Land jazz as well.
So you just like Damien Chazelle jazz. My favorite part of the movie is absolutely how they decide to tell a story in the most simplistic way that is both very feel good and actually kind of deep. I don't know a better way to put it, but just actually has a message, actually has something to connect to, even if you're, it has two characters that are about to become dads and they're scared. Yeah. None of that is going on in my life, and yet I really connected with this movie because of the subtext, and I thought it was great. I'm really impressed by it. My least favorite part of the movie was the entire sequence of them meeting the girls. I just didn't really care for it that much. Specifically, like them going out, drinking, fighting at the gym.
You didn't like the slow motion sequence?
No,
Ricky and Glenn doing
that is what we complain about. WWE. It's one of my complaints about movies.
You didn't like that?
If you wanted to make a music video, make a music video.
I also did not like that.
That was when I was the strongest, considering going and getting popcorn real quick because I was so hungry. I was like, this is my moment. This might go on for like 3 minutes, like I saw the TV glow kind of thing,
Right.
But
it was very, very long and not very interesting or funny or whatever.
I didn't like
it. But it
was
shot well. I'll say that. It looked like the editing was good and it was shot well and the choreography was decent. But it just I don't know, it was just very not interesting. So I
stuck out like a sore thumb to me.
I don't hate that whole sequence of them meeting the girls and everything, but that specifically, I was like, they were really, really proud of this. And this is not the best part of the movie. Mm-hmm.
I am going to score this movie now because that's what we do on this podcast.
Okay.
I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
Well, I hate to bore our audience to death, but I am also giving this movie a 7 out of 10.
Wow. It's closer to a 6 than an 8, but it is a 7.
It is a 7.
And a 7 is a fucking good score if you know us. I'll tell you what. Yes, I really enjoy this, and I cannot wait to watch it again. I actually really want to watch it again, even though I just saw it. And
I really want other people to watch it. I want Timothy to watch it. Mm-hmm. I want Mo to watch it.
Same.
Just our friends.
I want Gabby to watch it. Yeah. All right. Well, that was today's episode. There is no part 2 for this bad boy. Are we ever going to do a part 2 again? Who knows? We're in a new era.
We're streaming all the time.
All the time.
Wild Dream Stream, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Be there or be square.
Be square. I'm about to launch a new Just Chatting stream very soon.
Very soon. If you want to talk to us about movies, you can always do that while we're streaming. We're more than happy to talk to you guys about movies. If you want to talk to us about what movies you want us to see, what movies you have seen, or to tell us what you thought about this movie or this episode, we can be reached at Wild Dream Pod on Instagram. And technically we're on TikTok. Taylor will tell us if you comment. But until next time, we love you. We kiss you. Good night.
Good night.